What is up, ladies and gentlemen? John McClane here with another fantastic time and a fantastic video. Today we're going to be looking at Back to the Future, things we missed in the series. So let's get into it. Once again, a great intro. All right, let's go.
There's a lot to love about the Back to the Future trilogy, from the time travel hijinks to the amazing score and everything in between. It's been more than 30 years since the first film, and we can't
30 years, wow, it's been a while.
Stop watching these movies, no matter how many times.
When's the first time that you saw it? Man, I can't remember the first time I saw it. I've seen it so many times.
You've seen them though, there are still some details you may have missed in the Back to the Future films. The Back to the Future set designers.
Real quick, what's the name of the license plate? All right, well, we'll see.
Started dropping
I know it.
plot hints within the first minute of the film. The opening scene in Doc's home shows dozens of synchronized ticking clocks. This is a tribute to the classic 1960 time travel movie The Time Machine, in which eccentric inventor H. George Wells has a similar collection of aligned timepieces. Doc's collection looks pretty random, but one of the clocks gives away a major scene from the end. At about a minute in, we see a miniature model of a clock tower with a...
What? I never knew this. Did you know this? I did not know that. It's pretty cool, though.
man holding on to the minute hand. Like all but one of Doc's clocks, the time on this one is 25 minutes slow. Later in the movie, in 1955, Doc Brown dangles before the face of the Hill Valley Clock Tower as he tries to connect the cable to channel the lightning bolt. However, this prop wasn't made for Back to the Future. It was a real clock made in tribute to a different movie, the 1923 silent film Safety Last, in which actor Harold Lloyd
Have you ever seen this clock tower? I've seen it at Universal Studios in Hollywood. I'm pretty sure that's where they filmed it. That's what they said. Have you ever been on that ride? I think it's one of the coolest things ever to see the back lots. And it was so cool that a few years in a row I got, the front of the row tickets for Halloween Horror Nights. It was pretty cool. If you haven't checked that out, maybe check it out. It's pretty cool. Good times.
also clung to the minute hand
Although now with the prices to get into these parks, I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
of a clock above a busy street. Actors named Lloyd can't seem to avoid clock towers. Doc Brown's decor gives away details about his personality and backstory. He's framed and hung 2 newspaper articles with the headlines, "Brown Estate sold to developers," "Bankrupt inventor sells off 435 prime acres," and "Brown Mansion destroyed." The last one includes a picture of firefighters looking at the smoldering remains of a house, meaning the mansion probably burned down. It overlaps the other clipping, which implies that it's a more recent story. So now we know that Doc was once wealthy but went bankrupt, and that his house was destroyed in a fire. When Marty meets Doc in 1955, he's still living in the mansion. This explains a small detail that at first looks like an inconsistency. Doc's house number in 1985 is 1646. But in the 1955 phone book, he's listed at 1640 Riverside Drive. When the mansion burned down, Doc moved into the garage of the property. Another decorative note, in 1985, Doc has framed photos of 3 notable scientists
Oh, you got Einstein right there at the right.
and inventors, Benjamin
Okay.
Franklin, Thomas Edison, and Albert Einstein. In 1955, these framed photos are seen on his fireplace.
Look at the decor, though, of that place. You know that, okay, so to the right there, that's coming back. That kind of style. And the other stuff, the light by Michael J. Fox is pretty in style. Look at, I know, this isn't a style. Look at, Moving on.
Along with one of Isaac Newton. Did Doc dump Newton and his flying car defying theory of gravity over the next 30 years? Before his very existence was threatened, Marty's main concern was that his band, the Pinheads, failed their audition for the Battle of the Bands. Barely 20 seconds into their shredding rendition of The Power of Love by 80s rockers Huey Lewis and the News, a school administrator tells them,
"I'm afraid you're just too darn loud."
Classic.
That noise-hating school administrator was actually played by Huey Lewis, who wrote and performed the very song his character
Okay, I knew that one.
interrupts. Lewis was reluctantly persuaded to write The Power of Love for the movie, as well as Back in Time, and the former earned the band Oscar and Grammy nominations. It took even more persuasion to get Lewis to appear in the film. He only agreed to do it if he could be in disguise and uncredited. Another rock star who couldn't quite resist the pull of Back to the Future was guitar legend Eddie Van Halen. After nearly 3 decades of speculation, Eddie admitted that he did indeed supply the music Marty uses to lightly torture his teenage father into asking out his mother in 1955. The tape Marty inserts into the cassette player reads Edward Van Halen. The Back to the Future sequels also landed famous cameos. Flea, the bassist of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, played Needles, Marty's road race challenger in 1985 and corrupt colleague in 2015. The band was on tour at the time, which made for a challenging shoot schedule.
That's pretty cool.
The group that appeared in Back to the Future Part 3 was more enthusiastic.
And you know, like, especially the first one, like, they didn't know how popular this was going to be.
Rock band ZZ Top wrote the song Double Back for the 1990 trilogy finisher, and you can see them performing an acoustic
Oh, this was such a happy scene. Remember this?
version in the 1885 Hill Valley Festival, dressed in Wild West gear. The group was so convincing in their
Now everyone's rioting and what? Stop. Hey, relax.
costumes, thanks in part to their famous beards, that they were mistaken for extras. The Wild West theme gave the filmmakers the chance to sneak in some other cameos as a subtle nod to the genre. In the saloon, the 3 cowboys are actually 3 veteran Western actors. Dub Taylor played Cannonball, a sidekick in the Wild Bill Elliott Westerns. Harry Carey Jr. appeared in 7 John Ford Westerns. And Pat Buttram not only appeared in Western films, but also started the Golden Boot Awards to honor people in the industry.
Why, I didn't know the circus was in town.
When you're making a time travel movie, you have to keep track of changes characters make to the past and carry them back to the future. Otherwise, fans will notice and hold you accountable for the rest of your career, which is why we're still talking about certain key plot points in these movies decades later.
So I thought this movie was so cool. It's like my all-time favorite movie, right? So I put myself into this film. It's in my shorts, and that's how much I love it. I wanted myself to be in the film. Wouldn't you want to be in the film? Is this your favorite film? Let me know in the comment section below.
The Back to the Future team pulled this off brilliantly. You probably didn't even notice. When Marty and Doc meet up in 1985, they rendezvous at Twin Pines Mall. We get to see the namesakes of the mall in 1955. Peabody's ranch has 2 pine trees standing next to each other, and Marty accidentally knocks one over as he drives the DeLorean away from the farmer's irate family. When we go back to 1985, after all his time tampering, it's now called Lone Pine Mall.
Old man Peabody owned all of this. He had this crazy idea about breeding pine trees.
Another detail the filmmakers got right relates to the clock tower. When Doc is trying to connect the cables, he accidentally breaks off a chunk of the tower. In the original 1985, the tower is intact, apart from the famously stopped clock.
Yeah, right there. I visited that a couple times, and I also, what was it? The Housewives. Remember the original show? I'm not sure if you remember that, but if you do, they also had that at this backlot at Universal Studios in Hollywood.
Clock. But when Marty returns to 1985, we can see the
You know, it was cool. So I was telling you about the Halloween Horror Nights, right? So my brother, my youngest brother calls me one day, and he's like, "Hey, I think I saw you in a video. I was looking at Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios, and I saw you and your friend, and it was someone else was documenting it, and they uploaded it to YouTube, of course, obviously. And it was me and my friend, and we're going through the backlot where they filmed, because it was so cool because you could walk in the backlot in Halloween Horror Nights, right? So the Bates Hotel and stuff, we would walk through there, and zombies and stuff would come out at us. And so it was at that point, and it was pretty cool. And then you kept walking, and then you saw the crash of like an airliner and more zombies coming out at you. It was really cool. If you haven't experienced it, again, maybe try to if you can. If not, check it out on YouTube.
The damaged facade. Considering he spent a week in the past, it's remarkable these are the only things he managed to change, outside of his family's fortunes. The Back to the Future trilogy taught us that certain personality traits run in families. In the Tannen family's case, it's being evil and getting covered in manure. In Marty's family's case, it's watching sci-fi shows and eating meatloaf for dinner. At the beginning of the first film, fully grown George McFly and his oldest son Dave laugh like dorks at The Honeymooners, a sitcom about a married couple that aired a total of 39 episodes between 1955 and 1956. The episode they're watching is The Man from Space.
Remember the way he laughed? He was like, ah, ah, ah. Was it something like that? Okay,
foreshadowing George's close encounter with Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan in 1955. It's the same one teenage Lorraine's family is watching over dinner back in 1955, which they tell Marty is brand new. But it's worth noting that the episode aired on December 31st, 1955, not November 5th of that year, the date Marty went back to. At least that was the air date in our timeline. The other similarity in the family scene is the dinner they're eating. 30 years apart, both generations of Lorraine's family are tucking into meatloaf, although they finally switched to pizza in 2015. If you find yourself craving Pepsi when the end credits of Back to the Future roll, blame product placement. Pepsi drinks appear throughout the films, and the company received screen time in exchange for providing the cast and crew with free Pepsi. Cans and bottles.
Look at the way he's holding it. If that's not obvious, then I don't know what it is. And something keeps shining in my face. I'm sorry.
Can be seen in Marty's bedroom, on the McFly and Baines family dinner tables, and in the antique store window in 2015. Baines family dinner tables and in the antique.
Let's look at Perrier. How do you say that? Clothes iron. Clothes iron. Antique computer. Wow, that's an antique now. Well, this is in 80. Okay, never mind. Ha! I'm on the train. Here we go. Okay. Black & Decker Dust Buster. Super VHS. Happy Faces. 1982. This is the year I was born. What? Maybe that's why I love this so much. I think no, it's just a great video. And that's just a great topic.
Store all right, window in 2015.
Okay, not moving on. Do your thing. Stamp out old age. It says smoke. What? Smokes? No. That can't be right. All for entertainment purposes only. Stamp out old age. It looks like it says
Marty
smoke.
tries to order a Pepsi Free from Lou's Diner in 1955 and gets a Pepsi Perfect from the 80s Diner in 2015. Pepsi actually released a limited edition of this fictional product on October 21st, 2015, the date Marty traveled to.
All I want is a Pepsi.
I want one of those.
Pepsi wasn't the only company getting exposure. Writer Bob Gale and director Robert Zemeckis wanted to show lots of real brands to make the films feel authentic. Look out for Miller beer trucks
That's pretty cool.
in 1985 and 1955, Kellogg's cereal, Marty's Nikes, and his Calvin Klein underwear, the Burger King next door to Doc's in 1985, and of course, the Toyota 4x4 Marty lusts after. One of the least subtle placements comes in the form of the Pizza Hut half pepperoni, half green pepper hydratable pizza, prepared in the Black & Decker hydrator in Back to the Future Part 2.
It's basically what we have now.
The Hut took the partnership off screen too, selling promotional sunglasses tied to the movie for the bargain price
What? I'm gonna go look for these.
of $1.99 with the purchase of any pizza.
Solar shades from Pizza Hut. They're going like there's no tomorrow. Pizza Hut, they get it great!
The poster for the Enchantment Under the Sea dance is a crucial plot point because Doc and Marty realize it's the perfect place to get Marty's parents together, especially considering that's where his mom told him they'd had their first kiss. But take a second look at the walls of Hill Valley High School in 1955 and you'll also see a poster advertising Ron Woodward for senior class president, the right man for the job. Ronald Woodward was Back to the Future's key lighting grip. Other subtle crew shoutouts appear on certain cars. As Marty and his girlfriend Jennifer walk through the town square in 1985, they pass a car with a blue license plate that says, "For Mary." Mary T. Radford was the personal assistant to executive producer Frank Marshall. And in 1955,
I'd have to say these are a lot better than what Disney and all those other companies have in their videos. Have you seen those? There's some crazy stuff in there. There was this one movie that I watched before, The Rescuers or something like that. I think that was it. and they were going down, and then there was a picture of, you know what I'm saying, not fully clothed woman in the window. Did not know that. I probably would have tried to pause it. Moving on.
Man pictured on the campaign poster to re-elect Mayor Red Thomas is set decorator Hal Goff.
But for real though, I mean, there's a lot of questionable stuff in Disney. I wonder if it has something to do with like people being angry at the company. Maybe they didn't get what they want, you know, this and that. Do you guys remember when it was like an air freshener and someone put his parts on the air freshener? I actually saw it in person. Not a good experience. Okay.
Osman. This detail contradicts a fan theory. When
It was funny.
Marty gets back to 1985, he startles a homeless man played by George Buck Flower, whom he
But don't do that.
greets as Red. Some viewers thought this implied that Red Thomas had gone from mayor to living on the street over the course of 30 years. However, according to Bob Gale and his DVD commentary, Fox improvised this name and the characters aren't connected. Once you've rewatched the Back to the Future trilogy 100 times, you can find your next movie recommendation in the Back to the Future trilogy. But you'll have to look closely. There are titles and references to projects various members of the cast and crew worked on hidden throughout. For example, when Marty hitches a ride to school on the back of a Jeep in the
I'm going to redo that one with the blue truck right here. I'm going to redo that.
on hidden
Put
throughout.
myself in that scene.
For example,
That scene right there.
when Marty hitches a
Watch.
ride to school
I have fun doing it, okay?
on the back of a Jeep in the first movie, he skates past a sign that reads Used Cars, the title of a 1980 movie by Gale and Zemeckis. By the way, the driver of that Jeep is not Steven Spielberg or Harrison Ford, as legend would have you believe. Gale and Zemeckis
It looks like the guy from The Neighbor on Home Improvement.
confirmed in the DVD commentary that it's the film's stunt coordinator, Walter Scott. The second movie has even more references. Look for the Roger Rabbit toy in the antique store window. Zemeckis directed
Oh, look at back to this.
Who Framed Roger
Look, we didn't finish it. They got a lava lamp, antique. Oh, we got the antique computer. And I talk.
Rabbit in
Okay,
1988.
I think
The year before Back to the Future
Roger Rabbit was a good movie too. I love that movie. I found it so fascinating how they put the cartoon in real life. It just, I don't know. It was wonderful. I loved it. Okay.
Part 2 came out, which also starred Christopher Lloyd. Also in the window is the Jaws video game for the Nintendo Entertainment System and a VHS copy of Jaws 2. Executive producer Steven Spielberg directed the first movie in that series to great acclaim in 1975.
That scene right there, I believe that's at Universal
The
Studios
subsequent 3 sequels were
as well. I think that's a backdrop. If that's the same place that I remember, it's like a backdrop right there. A big old screen, like a huge wall. I believe they also did, I don't know why I keep saying that, but Truman Show, when it was the painting of the clouds, that was done there. TLC, Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls was filmed right there. Jaws was filmed right next to it.
were less successful, including 1987's Jaws: The Revenge, which had the tagline, "This time it's personal." Back to the Future Part 2 has
What was really cool is they had the backdraft. I don't know if you remember that movie, but if you did, or if you do, then it was like special effects. So you'd walk through this building and it would have like fire and stuff coming at you. And it was just showing how they did those effects. And then they would show like the backlot, a little bit of like costumes and stuff. It was pretty interesting, inspiring. And then I went back home and I missed it so much.
a little fun with this. The tagline for Jaws 19 in 2015 is, "This time it's really, really personal." According to the marquee, the movie is directed by Max Spielberg, Steven's oldest son. In 1885, Marty invents the Frisbee when he throws a metal pie dish from Frisbee's Pies at Mad Dog Tannen. This might sound like a stretch, but this is actually pretty close to the origin story of Frisbees, although on a different coast. Based in Bridgeport, Connecticut, the real-life Frisbee Pie Company sold many of their pies to college students who started tossing the round, flat, empty tins for fun when they were finished eating. There's another strange but real historical detail you probably missed in the first film. When Marty arrives in the town square in 1955, a kid walks, or rather bounces, past him on shoes with
I put myself in this scene as well, in my shorts.
springs attached to the bottom.
Wait, not in my shorts, but my video shorts. Okay, moving on.
These were a real toy in the 1950s and 60s. Called moon shoes, satellite jumping shoes, or pogo shoes, they were supposed to make the wearer feel like they were walking on the moon. A tie-in to the space race that...
Because the moon landing is fake? Is that why? And that's how they did it? No. They would do it probably with strings and stuff. I don't know. This is not a conspiracy. Nope. Maybe
led to a
not.
fascination with all things intergalactic.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for today. I hope you had a great time. I hope to see you back next time. And if you haven't, please subscribe, like, and share. Or not, just have a great day.